Good day, folks, and welcome back to our YouTube channel. I want to welcome you all to our latest YouTube video. Today, we are presenting part 1 of a 5-part video series. And allow me to continue by saying that Betty and I are no strangers to raised bed vegetable gardening and greenhouse gardening. And in fact, we believe this is the best form of gardening there is. So ladies and gentlemen, we would appreciate you watching this latest video. This is our garden story. It starts here. And here. This is our raised bed and greenhouse garden story. If you like our latest video, show us your appreciation by hitting the like button. And of course, you can receive notifications from us. You just need to hit that bell. And you can always subscribe, folks, by hitting the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner. It is March the 28th in Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada. Many folks woke up to this morning. We experienced a winter storm here in the first few days of spring. Lots of snow fell, folks, between Friday evening and all day Saturday. And now, pretty soon, the cleanup will begin. I must get out with my snowblower and my shovels and get things cleared away. We have a large driveway and 2 steps that need to be cleared of all the snow. The photographs we are using to introduce this latest video from us were of our garden in 2012, ladies and gentlemen. And over the years, almost 10 years now, Betty and I have acquired much experience with raised bed vegetable gardening and greenhouse gardening. We want to share the knowledge that we have learned over the years, folks, with you, our subscribers. And if you are new to our YouTube channel, welcome aboard. And we hope that this latest video series will inspire you to get out into the dirt and start gardening. Betty and I also hope, ladies and gentlemen, folks, that you stick around for the duration of this 5-part video series. For now, let's get started with part 1, how to construct raised vegetable beds using reclaimed lumber. Now, folks, here at our new property in Gander, Newfoundland and Labrador, Canada, there was no raised vegetable beds and no greenhouse. Until last spring, March of 2020. In the early days of COVID-19 last spring, and with time on our hands, Betty and I got at this rather neglected piece of land directly behind our house. We started by removing some old bricks and some old tires. And with that done, I got an old axe, ladies and gentlemen, and I marked out a grid onto the ground. The grid was 20 feet by 20 feet square. The turf, or the old sod, on top of this grid would need to be removed. And we soon realized that this was not going to be an easy task. And using the same old axe, we marked out a second grid, this one rectangular in shape, and it measures 20 feet by 12 feet for the greenhouse. And of course, folks, there will be much more on our greenhouse and on our greenhouse story. We will be presenting part 3, how to construct a greenhouse, in our 5-part video series. You won't want to miss it, folks. So, knowing that the turf or the sod was going to be very difficult to remove, Betty and I went to a local rental store and rented a tiller. It was quite easy to use and operate, and it's also self-propelled. This means that it does most of the hard work for you folks, as it did for us. Choosing to rent a tiller was a great idea. As we were also working on the floor of the old church around this same time, we began the task of removing the old floor joists and to use them as reclaimed material in the construction of the raised bed frames. We also removed and dismantled an old set of steps and stairs leading to the old church. And the lumber here, folks, was cleaned up and repurposed into the construction of the raised vegetable bed frames. And here, folks, our son Devin is removing some old rusty nails and cleaning up some of them old boards. Here we are squaring up the 20-foot by 20-foot garden grid and putting the first raised vegetable bed frame in its place. And we constructed these frames 4 feet wide by 8 feet long. Dimensions, folks, that we have learned over the years to be the ideal dimensions for raised vegetable beds. And with the first frame in its place and squared up, it was easy to lay the remaining 3 to form the 4 corners for this square raised vegetable bed garden. And then to begin the task of filling these frames with soil, compost, manure, and other fertilizers, but more on that in a later video. In the next few clips, you can clearly see that we are adding additional 4 feet by 8 feet frames to our raised vegetable bed garden. And all of these frames were made, folks, from reclaimed and repurposed material from either the old floor joists inside the old church or from the old set of steps leading into the church. Betty and I cannot think of a better way to reuse and repurpose this old lumber and to give it new life than to use it in the construction of our raised vegetable bed garden. We are very pleased. To finish off these raised vegetable bed frames and to give them a picture frame look, Betty and I acquired some old decking boards from our neighbor. Decking boards that were heading to the landfill. These boards, folks, were still in pretty decent shape, so all we had to do was clean them up, remove the old screws, cut them to size, and attach them to the frames. And in the next few clips, you can clearly see that those old decking boards have also been reused and repurposed and given new life and new meaning, and they give our raised vegetable bed garden that final touch. We think so anyway, and we are very pleased with our garden. And this little guy who decided to come and visit us also seems to think that our garden looks impressive. Maybe he's sizing it up. Maybe he's wondering, where are the carrots going to be planted? One thing is for certain, he does come back, and we hope you come back as well. That you come back to part 2, where we introduce you to our daughter Katie, who helps out quite a lot in our raised bed vegetable garden and greenhouse. It is also in part 2 that we add crushed stone to our raised bed vegetable garden. And also, ladies and gentlemen, in part 2 of our 5-part series, we begin the process of sowing seeds directly in our garden. You won't want to miss that. Because planting time is family time here at the Old Church 5-acre homestead. So please join us, folks, for part 2, sowing seeds. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel.